Right. So we are going to be talking about a few, as I said, well-packed diets, but we're going to be just skimming through and make sure that at least you get some information here that is useful. We're going to be hinting Mediterranean diet and the anti-inflammatory diet.
And we also talk about DASH diet and plant-based diet.
And then from there, we're going to be also hinting on nutrient-rich diets, nutrient-rich diets. Uh,
And whole food diet. And we will end by talking about low sodium diet. What are the other things that you can do in order to lower your sodium content in your foods?
all right, and all these are geared towards helping your heart health and then making you feel overall healthier. So low sodium diets, whole foods, and nutrient-rich diets. And then most important ones that we're going to spend more time on are the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet. So we will move forward with that and go forward. So we start off with the Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is basically a diet that came about as a result of a group of people who have been studied, the people around the Mediterranean region, you know, uh, between Africa and Europe, Greece, I should say Italy, Morocco, and those countries around the Mediterranean Sea. They observed that these people have a longevity. They don't usually get any heart diseases, and they most of the time live long, before they pass. And so people or scientists begin to observe the way they do their things. And one of the things that came out is their diet, how they eat their foods. And so it's become a well-known fact that people who eat the way the Mediterranean people do tend to have better health outcomes, especially your cardiovascular health or your heart and brain health, your heart and vessel health. And so we're going to mention some of the things that are common with the Mediterranean people and their diets.
So as we go over these diets, I just think about the diets that where we come from, right? The kinds of foods that we eat, so that you can really understand why people from the Mediterranean area tend to live longer because of the kinds of foods that they eat. Then we can learn and incorporate such foods, right, into our diet so that we can change things around. So if you look at the video that is playing, you can see that the table is so colorful. You can see the greens, you can see, all the colors showing. I can see what corn and spinach, fruit, maybe watermelon, that red thing on there. And you can see a lot of colorful things on the table. So that's the kind of diet that has been studied and approved that by eating such diets, you tend to live longer and you have less issue with the heart. And heart attack and strokes are really reduced in that area.
Right. And to add to that, also, the Mediterranean diet, just to be complete, I'll mention some real examples too. I think she mentioned some. I'm going to add some too. We see that they have healthy fats. In fact, the video that is shown, you can see a bottle of olive oil right there. It is a staple in the Mediterranean diet. They also, not all of them, but some of them also include red wine, which also studies say that a glass of red wine a day by a woman is good for their heart, and up to 2 glasses is good for a man. There's debate out there now whether or not that is really true. And so we are not going to say that go ahead and do that, especially if you're a religious person. We probably wouldn't tell you to do that. But suffice to say that it is part of the Mediterranean cuisine. They have that as part of the things that help them relax and make them have better health outcomes, especially on their hearts. So olive oil is there. You can see that they also use a lot of pastas. Um, Not so much, but at least they eat, pastas. They also have fruits and vegetables. They have other things. You
So
wanna,
the pastures, I think they use the whole grain, right? The
yeah,
whole grain foods. So from our research, we realize that they don't have a lot of processed foods. Most of the foods are whole. Okay, it's in their natural state. So I think we listed some of the fruits here. We have the fruits and vegetables, which include tomatoes, cucumbers, spinach, kale, berries, apple, oranges. So if in your area you have such foods, try and incorporate them in your diet. What I've realized, like where we are from, when we are eating such foods, you can see that some of these vegetables we also consume, but not in the natural state. We tend to overcook them, we tend to make them more saucy or in the sauce form instead of really eating it in that fresh state. Because if we cook the vegetables so much so that it become something different because you kill most of the ingredients in there. So with a Mediterranean diet, they tend to eat it in the fresh state. So if they have the bowl of salad, they have all the fruits that we're talking about. The tomatoes, we consume a lot of tomatoes, but in what state? In this
processed.
process over and over
Sometimes we
and
buy it
cooked
canned and
and cooked
paste,
and cooked and cooked
and
and
then
cooked.
when you come home, you cook it also on top, right? And
On top of it.
fry.
Yes. Yes. So all the ingredients you realize that has been lost. So if you're talking about tomatoes, it's better to just cut it and add it to your salad. With your greens, I know we have the contomere, right? And the spinach out there. Here they put it in a bowl in the fresh state. After it's washed, they put it in a bowl and all that. They eat it in that state. With fruit, I think we do more in the natural state. But with the vegetables, I think that's where we have found wanting a lot of it because we tend to overcook our vegetables.
We tend to overcook our vegetables, definitely. Now, some of the other things that they eat for their whole grains, as she said, they are not refined, they are plain whole grains. Examples include whole wheat bread. They eat it. I mean, now wheat bread is not something that a lot of us in the US want to eat because of celiac disease and stuff like that, but it is a staple in the Mediterranean diet. Whole wheat bread. They also have brown rice, and they also have quinoa. They use quinoa, and then they use barley, and then they use oats. All these are staples in the Mediterranean diet. Now, if you look at these are not refined starches. They are whole grain starches, even if they are starches, and that is why they are healthier. They are healthier overall because of that fact of what they are, the fact that they are not refined. And then we can also talk about other foods that they eat, right? If we go to legumes, right? They have they have legumes. They also eat legumes. Apart from legumes, they eat well. Examples of the legumes include beans and lentils, and also they have other sources of protein and fiber. All these make the Mediterranean people have an overall better diet that contributes to their longevity, making them live longer, and also contributes obviously to their heart health. So that is some of the things that I can describe. There's more of the legumes you want to say
Yeah, we
about.
have the chickpeas, right? The lentils, black eye beans is
Like
something that
peas.
eye peas is what we normally consume, you know. So if you want to try different kinds of beans, you know, that in the form of legume definitely will help. I tried the chickpeas. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I didn't like it much. But if you want to bring in a lot of varieties
Mhm.
in your beans, that would be a choice that you can look into. Yeah. A-
Definitely.
And they also consume a lot of nuts and seeds.
Mhm.
You know, the nuts and seeds, we have the almonds, we have the walnuts. sunflower seeds, flax seeds, and chia seeds.
Chia seeds. All those are healthy stuff that are staples of the Mediterranean diet. So you may have heard the Mediterranean diet. I mean, it's nothing serious. I mean, it's serious because it's good stuff, but it's nothing that foreign. You can make your Mediterranean diet while you're living in the United States or wherever you may be watching us from. And so I don't think like you have to live over around the Mediterranean Sea to be able to eat the good things they eat. You can eat the same things here if you are health conscious. Avoiding the pounded full foods, the bankus, the kinkeys, and including these non-refined whole grains and proteins that we have mentioned. They also have healthy fats. Apart from, I think I may have alluded to the fact that they use olive oil. Some of them actually use extra virgin olive oil. Last time we mentioned that olive oil, studies have even shown that a tablespoon or a couple of tablespoons of olive oil a day is really good for your heart health. In fact, it's good for your overall health. And these people have it already in their diets. They don't have to do it. So for most of us who don't live in the Mediterranean areas, who want to improve our diet, we can copy that. Instead of using regular vegetable oils, you can use olive oil when you're doing your cooking, when you're doing your salads, when you're doing your olive oil. You can't use it to fry, can you?
No,
No, that's the one that you cannot use to fry. But which one do you use to fry again?
Avocado oil.
The avocado oils. Those ones you can use to fry your yam or whatever it is. Oh, come on, man. Not that we want you to, but if you have to, use the right oils. So that's some of the things. They also have more other stuff. Apart from that.
Yeah, with the olive oil, you can, instead of adding the dressing, which is full of salt and sugar, instead of that, after you've put your salads together, you can just pour a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of olive oil, mix with the greens, and that will be something that when you consume, it help with your heart.
Definitely. And then they also, because they live around the area of the sea called the Mediterranean Sea, they are also using fish. They also eat a lot of fish. The Mediterranean people eat a lot of fish, seafood, and not just fish, but anything else that is water proteins that they may have. Maybe crabs, I don't know, maybe oysters, whatever it is. They don't eat a lot of red meat. As a matter of fact, it's actually said that they eat less red meat compared to the fish and white, meat, the poultry. They eat more poultry and they eat more fish. So salmon, sardines, mackerel, shrimps, and what we call mussels, they are all the good stuff that is a staple also in the Mediterranean diet. So if you are health conscious, you want to improve your heart health, you have a family history of heart disease, somebody died in your family and they said it was a heart attack, or you yourself, you already seen your blood pressure creeping up, any cholesterol going up, diabetes around the corner. Make sure that you include some of these things rather than to eat your good old red meat, goat meat, mutton, or whatever it is that you've been eating. Change them and improve upon your health. Your heart health and your overall immune system is going to be very good.
Yeah, so with our research, there it was stated that they eat once a month, even if they want to consume any red meat. They cut it to the point that they barely eat it, and the most they do is one time in a whole month. So you can say that you are going to do 3 times a week. That's too many. If you want to go with Mediterranean diet, you have to cut down the red meat for sure.
You have to cut down the red meat for sure. Come on. You have to cut down the red meat, or else you do not qualify to be a citizen of the Mediterranean area. You live where you are and you get sick where you are. Yeah, but that's a good point. Definitely cut down on the red. You said once a month, right?
Once a month, yeah.
A lot of people cannot do this, but hopefully we can convince them enough to do that, because that's what's up. That's what's helping those people to live better, long lives. And then also, they eat Poultry, as I mentioned earlier, chicken, turkey, and then eggs. Those are something that they also eat all the time. And then after that, they drink a little bit of dairy, a little bit of milk, but they use cheese. Most of the cheese that we know, or yogurt, we call Greek yogurt,
Greek
or
yogurt, yeah.
Greek cheese, or whatever it is, mozzarella cheese, feta cheese.
Feta
All
cheese.
those things are things that came from the Mediterranean area. So if you are going to use cheese for any reason, look for those that are Mediterranean origin, because they are healthier. They are healthier, basically. You want to add anything to
Yeah, yeah. So, and they use a lot of herbs and spices.
that?
They use a lot of spice like basil, oregano, rosemary, thyme, and garlic. They use a lot of those. Using that gives the food a lot of flavor. And when it's in there, you don't have to add a lot of salt to make it tasty because of the spices that you're adding. It gives a good taste already, so you don't have to increase the use of salt, which we all know that the consumption of sodium definitely affects your blood pressure and your heart in general. So adding those spices to your foods tend to make it tastier and less use of salt, which overall becomes what a healthy diet.
Definitely, I like that. All right, and I think I already alluded to the what do you call it? The red wine. So we're not going to spend any more time there. We've mentioned it over and over again. And if we go on, we also mentioned the red meat already. So I think we can actually go to the next one, which is anti-inflammatory diet. Now, the anti-inflammatory diet is basically similar to the Mediterranean. I think, if my memory serves me right, um, it is actually about the same thing as the Mediterranean diet. Well, in terms of the Mediterranean people eat them, that's what I'm trying to say. But they do something different, and that is the fruits and the vegetables that we mentioned, right? We mentioned that the Mediterranean people eat fruits and then vegetables, berries, for example, we mentioned, right? And that is because it is anti-inflammatory. Well, they started eating it before research showed that that is helping them. It's part of their meal. But the reason for them living longer and being healthier overall and having a boosted immune system is because these berries are anti-inflammatory. They actually chew or eat up free radicals from their system. And so, if you want to be a little bit of a Mediterranean origin, I should say, if you want to eat right, include fruits and berries, or fruits. We already mentioned the veggies, but include these fruits, colorful fruits, examples of which we call the berries. And you may also receive the benefit of anti-inflammation because you are eating that, because it's part of the diet of the Mediterranean people.
Yeah, so by eating a lot, it means that you're going to reduce chronic inflammation in your system. So if the inflammation is reduced, definitely you have a healthy heart, and definitely you have a healthy, and your immune system is well increased, is boosted because the inflammation has gone down because you are consuming a lot of berries. So it's not just the berries. I think we mentioned some of the fruits, right? So we have the apple, we have the citrus, we have the orange, and all the fruits out there. I know some people are worried about the sugar level and that. You just have to look into and see which one will work best for you. But it's very important that we incorporate the consumption of fruit in our diet. Sometimes we get so stuck in our way of life that we just go in for one set meal, we get full for the day, and that's it. We don't add on to what we've eaten because we feel like we've stuffed for the day, you know. And sometimes the ones that we are stuffing on, we put our breakfast down or our lunch down. We don't include fruit as part of the lunch that we're eating. Mostly people will just go in for the carbohydrates, the protein, and a lot of sauce, right, on the rice, and they are done for lunch. So let's try and incorporate what fruit as part of the diet. The fruit can be the side. They serve your lunch, and you can see you have the fruit on the side, as much as the carbohydrates and the oils and the proteins.
Definitely, definitely. And examples of the fruits and the berries we are seeing, blueberries. Those who are watching on TikTok, you cannot see that video, but make sure you join us on our YouTube channel at DROTENG next time, and you see this blueberries, blackberries. Or what's the other one? Red berries?
Raspberries.
Raspberry. It looks red. Come on, man. Let's go.
The raspberries.
The
And I don't see
raspberries.
strawberries.
There's
but
no
strawberries
strawberries
is
here.
also good.
Yeah. I think we usually eat strawberries and blueberries a lot.
Right.
But the blackberries may not be that sweet, which for people who are diabetic, blackberries and even the blueberries may be an alternative if you are conscious about your sugar going up. And so those are some of the things that we can include in our diet for anti-inflammation.
And
So,
if you are in the tropical areas, you are in areas that we don't have a lot of berries, there can be a substitution. We have a lot of citrus fruits around. We have the orange, we have the apple, and other fruits available. So don't limit yourself. You have to try and find a replacement. So if you are eating your lunch, your orange can be cut and put on the side, and you can consume the orange after you've eaten your lunch. So we have to try and include fruit in general into our diet.
good for the benefit of anti-inflammation. This is what cleans up your arteries and protects your arteries from getting deposits of cholesterol, which closes up your arteries and lead to all these heart diseases, heart attacks, and strokes that we are trying to avoid. So you may eat for fun, but you'll be protecting yourself against cardiovascular issues. So if you're not eating it, you are missing out. Not only are you missing out the sour and the sweet taste that they come with, sometimes even your oatmeal or your what I usually use it for my smoothie
Yogurt, yeah.
or on your yogurt, you can put some of these. If you eat it enough, in a week, you are going to get a benefit. But to have nothing at all of these means you are missing out on the anti-inflammatory benefits of these things that the Mediterranean people have been also doing. All
And
right.
I think that the thing that we do mostly from where we are from is that you just want to get fed, right? You just want to eat something and go out to about your business. We don't really think into stuff like that. So you can be in a household and you realize that there is no fruit. There is no like salad or vegetable that is readily available because we don't like intentionally include that in our diet. So some household, all that we care about is the macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the protein, and the oils. That's it. But now that we are learning that these other things have to be incorporated in our diet, so there should be a salad bowl that we refill every day, that is on the table as part of the menu. There should be a place for fruit that we can always grab and pick one or two, so that everybody in the household is being fed that way, so that we get the antioxidants in our system.
Oh, come on,
that
man.
really help.
I like that. And you know why I like that?
Yeah.
Because when I returned from vacation, I bought a bowl of apples and it's upstairs right now. Come on, man. And we are eating. I missed the during vacation, right? Yeah. So it's a small sacrifice, but it goes a long way. So let's do it. You go for grocery and you buy no fruit, no. Sometimes even we don't even buy greens to eat. It's just whatever is enough for the soup you make, whatever is enough for the sauce you made or the stew you make.
That's it.
There's nothing else, and that's what we need to change. Definitely have to change those things because we cannot afford to be sick. All right. So the next one, I think we can go to the next one if unless you have anything else. You have anything else. All right. So then the next one that we are going to be talking about is the DASH diet and plant-based diet. Basically, they are all the same. They're not completely the same, but in the interest of time, we want to combine them because they intersect. Just like the anti-inflammatory diet and the Mediterranean diet, they intersected. The fruits were from there, so we are also combining the DASH diet and then do that. You want to start?
Yes, so with the DASH diet, I think the DASH is just an abbreviation, right? It stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. So such diets, they're very conscious on cutting down sodium in particular. So sodium is very minimal. So I think they start with 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, and they encourage you to go down as low as 1,500 milligrams a day. So DASH diet geared so much towards controlling your blood pressure to the point that you cut sodium to the minimal.
Definitely. And also, the way the diet is formulated, it's kind of like the Mediterranean a little bit because the DASH diet actually initially was developed by the JNC, a group that, make recommendations in the US concerning what to do to reduce blood pressure and everything about hypertension. So the JNC recommends that anybody who is conscious about their blood pressure or their heart, for example, since we are doing a heart talk today, should do the DASH diet. So if you have ever been diagnosed with hypertension, or even if you have diabetes, you are prone to get hypertension. It's a known fact. So anything concerning your heart or your cardiovascular issues, you are recommended by the JNC to include the DASH diet as part of your diet. Now, as she said, it is made up of things that help in totality to reduce your sodium, completely bring down your sodium levels. But you have to eat certain things in order to get your sodium levels down, right? So let's talk about some of the things that you need to eat. And some of them may coincide with the one we already did in the Mediterranean because it's still concerning heart health, right? So we talk about fruits and vegetables, which is the first one we just did. So we don't going to spend much time. If you are eating fruits, for example, if you want a snack, instead of eating a very salted snack like fries or chips, if your snack
Cheerios.
if your snack is an apple, there's no way that salt is going to find itself in an apple. Oh, come on, man. I have not seen salt ever showing up in an apple. Have you?
No.
No.
No oranges.
No oranges. No berries. There's no way salt is going to show up on a bowl of salad, like a green spinach that is standing on our screen now. No way, unless you add salt to it, which some people have a tendency of adding salt to anything, even water, they will add salt. If not, if you are eating those foods, then you are following the DASH diet. You are reducing your sodium intake. And Gifty has already told you that your goal should be about 1,500 or less, for your blood pressure to be on point, 1,500 milligrams. So that is one. And then also we have whole grains. If you are eating whole grains too, definitely you're not going to be. But I got to have a caveat because some people will add salt to everything. So if you're eating whole grains and you are not adding too much salt, then you are also following the DASH diet. And it has to be consistent with your diet. It has to be part of your meals. It's not like once in a blue moon you eat a whole grain. No. In the week, you have to have whole grains as part of your weekly diet. I shouldn't say weekly, probably daily, but in different forms. You eat something today, whole grain, and tomorrow you eat something which is also whole grain, but different thing. And so that is how you do that. And then you also include lean proteins. You include lean proteins as part of your DASH diet, and then emphasis on poultry. Not red meat, because some people consider lean protein. I can get nice red meat that is cut. It's lean. There's no fat. Yes, but we encourage you to do poultry instead because of other things that we already mentioned, and we may even talk about about red meat. So chicken, turkey, and all those other birds that you may find around. And low-fat dairy, milk, 2% or 0% fat, 1%, not whole milk, right? Cutting down the fat. So if you are doing less of those, then you are also including healthy stuff in your diet concerning your DASH diet. Any more you want to add?
I think we talked about the sodium already, right?
Yeah. So we talk about nuts and seeds, which we're going to hit again, and then we did also mention healthy fats. For healthy fats, we talked about what do you call olive oil, avocado oil. Those are good sources of fats, and then of course the nuts and seeds that have fat in them, or oils in them, vegetable oils. Those are some of the things that we encourage you to do as part of your DASH diet. And with that, I think we can move on to some of the benefits of your diet. I think you already mentioned some of the benefits of the DASH diet, right? Can you add more to it, or can go for it? So
No,
support.
so like I talked about the sodium, right?
Yeah.
So if you are going to lower the intake of sodium, or you are going to replace the salty snacks with the healthy fruits and vegetables, definitely your sodium is going to go down, your blood pressure is going to be well controlled. And also, if the sodium is low, it's likely that you're not going to retain a lot of fluids and your weight is going to be controlled, which will be able to help you to control your weight.
Definitely, definitely. So promote weight loss. If you are doing the DASH diet, you are most likely going to lose weight because you are losing salt. You are not eating enough, a lot of salt for that matter. And then also, it will also help you with other diseases. Even though we are talking about heart disease, using DASH diet to prevent hypertension and other heart diseases, you're also going to reduce your risk for diabetes, your risk for even certain cancers, as well as your risk for stroke. And so DASH diet, all the DASH diet means is that cut down sodium, increase your potassium, decrease all fatty meals or fatty meals, and then include greens. That's it. That's just a dash. You dashing it out.
You dash it.
Come on, man. You dashing it. That is supposed, and that's definitely going to be of benefit to you. So I think we can move on to the next one, unless you have another.
I think the next one is the plant-based diet, right?
Then
Plant-based.
for the dash that I added them, so if you want to mention a little
Yeah,
bit
so
more.
plant-based, I think, is about the same idea that you cut down most of the animal source of foods and you replace it mainly with a plant source of foods. So with protein, you are going to lean more on the legumes, right? The beans and the lentils and the chickpeas, instead of going for the red meats and the animal fat. So you tend to depend more on the plant-based foods. So you can do more greens, right? You make sure that at least once or twice a day you incorporate your salad. You're doing all the sources of plants in all that you do, so that you cut down. You can control your cholesterol level because you're depending so much on plant source of foods as compared to animal source of foods.
Definitely, definitely. That's what's up. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here. And the next one is going to be the nutrient-rich diet. Nutrient-rich diet. So, like I'm saying, there's a lot of information, but if you want you to, basically at the end of the show, you would have seen which areas to include. And so, even though we have mentioned a lot of things, we want you to be able to see through and see which ones you can include, because everybody may not like nuts and seeds. Some people may like the grains. Some people may like more of the berries and the fruits. So, as we mentioned, you look through and see which ones you can include in your dietary regimen, so that you can have a better health outcome, especially concerning your health. Your heart. All right. So the next one is nutrient-rich diet. Now, this is what I mentioned last time. I think a few shows ago, that when I have lunch and my lunch is of nuts and seeds, I tend to not be hungry. If I take my lunch from work and I go and eat a bowl of whatever white stuff that you can think of, whether it's rice or whatever, I get,
Banku.
I get. Come on, man! I don't eat not for lunch. I get hungry quicker.
Quicker.
Why? Because it's all processed and there's not much fiber in there. But if you are, there's not much nutrient also because it's just raw starch. If you are eating something like this, nutrient rich stuff like these, you tend to be full for a long time. All you will be looking for is water. You just drink water and you are full. So that is something that we also want to encourage people to do for the benefit of your heart. If you have a history of heart attacks or heart disease in your family, you cannot joke with it. You got to include some of these as your regular meal instead of the regular starches that people eat. And trust me, you will not be hungry. I know people want to feel their belly is heavy.
Extended.
It's extended, it's boiled out. Then they know that they are full. No, if you eat these, let's talk about examples for the benefit of those who are watching on TikTok, who cannot see our video on YouTube. Let's talk. Let's look at some of them. We have what?
The walnuts.
The walnuts, nutrient rich, nutrient packed, right?
We have almonds.
We have almonds.
You see the flax seeds.
We have the flax seeds. I have more on my
We have
list.
cranberries.
Now, cranberry, dry cranberries, right?
Yes. I think we can add pistachios.
I like the pistachios. Pistachios. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all that
We
I
are.
can say.
I mean, some. I know you don't like it, but peanuts. It's also very nutrient rich. Peanut butter. If you have a lunch of a slice of bread, maybe two. I know some people are like just a slice, two slices of bread.
Whole bread, right?
Yes, whole grain bread with peanut butter.
Or butter bread.
No butter bread. Come on, man. We ate some butter bread on our vacation, but our vacation is over. So now we're going back to the whole grain bread. Yeah, so you put, peanut butter in there, you will stay full for a long time. You don't need to eat much, little bit, and because of the pack of nutrients in that, you don't stay hungry and you are able to do all the things you have to do. You don't need to be heavy before you feel full. You just have to feel like you are full. And I think last time we said something about when people think that they are not full, it's because they're eating the wrong stuff. If you eat very nutrient rich stuff, nutrient dense is the word, nutrient dense stuff, obviously you're going to feel full. You don't have to feel it, your stomach is big. A little bit, but you're not hungry. That means you're eating good. Come on, man. That means you're eating really good.
And it's so portable, it's easy to carry on you or with you. So like when you're traveling or you're going to be gone for a whole day and you wouldn't have time to really sit and eat a balanced diet, that can be something that you can carry with you and that can serve like your lunch for the day, and that will really with a lot of water and fluids definitely is going to carry you through the day.
Definitely.
Because it's what? Nutrients dense.
Nutrient dense, packed with nutrients is basically what we say. And then we said the examples. Lentils is also another example. And they have fiber. That's another key. Why you don't get hungry so much? Because of the great fiber content. It's a lot of fiber and then nutrients. So the fiber will make sure that you drink water and then you are full because of all the fiber. But if you eat something that is not nutrient dense, 2 minutes you're hungry again. So those of you who have been eating fufu and you say that, I when I eat fufu I don't get full, it's because it's not nutrient dense. Eat something that is nutrient dense, or whatever food you eat. I shouldn't just say fufu because not only Ghanaians watch. Whatever food, if you are eating burgers, if you are eating pasta, if you are eating whatever, and you get hungry quick, change it or add something to it that is more nutritious so that your body won't feel that you're hungry because it is not that process. Your body is able to handle it well, and you get all the benefit of all the nutrients that are in there. So I think that is.
And I think it's also have the good oils. I think you mentioned that, right?
healthy
The
fats. monounsaturated fatty
monounsaturated
acids.
fatty acids. That is a very
And then the
good for
omega
your heart.
3,
And the
omega
omega
3
3
fatty
too.
acids also,
Yes. It supports
especially
your heart health.
yeah, especially in the walnuts and the and the almonds and all those nuts that and seeds that you see. Chia seed, they all have the omega 3 fatty acids, which are good not just for inflammation, but also for your heart health and your brain and your heart itself.
Yes.
You know, it's well, come on, man. I am out of words.
So can you, instead of this, can you do peanut butter? Peanut, banana and peanut.
You can do banana and peanut. Yeah, banana
For
and peanut.
lunch, yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No,
the fried peanut and banana.
no, the one that
They sell.
they sell in small plastic bags.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as you don't overdo it, because you know you and I know that people will eat how many pieces of bananas?
20.
Yes, before they get full. If you do that, then of course you're doing it too much. You are taking in too much that you shouldn't do, and in that case, it would not be beneficial. But if it is not in that much amount, and you are doing it, you know, for the benefit of health, you know, maybe a couple of pieces, or even one with more of the peanut or an almond or whatever it is, then it should be really good. So I think we can go to the next one, right? All right. So let's see. The next one is whole foods. Whole foods. We are wrapping up. So don't leave yet. If you haven't liked the show, make sure you click the like or the thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/Dr. Oteng, DROTENG, and be rolling with us on our weekly live shows and other videos that we post weekly. All right. So whole foods. Whole food diet. So much as we have mentioned all those foods, everybody can eat all those foods. But if you are eating them processed, then you are missing the point. So this image we are showing is whole grain bread. You can see the grains of the bread in there. You know, granted it's been milled all right, but it's not as fine. You see the grains in there. But if you have super enriched grain, super, you know, enriched, I don't know the word for it. Every fiber, every fiber is removed to make it clean and white. Then it is not whole. And if it is not whole, all you're doing is you are feeding your blood sugar. You just eat it and it converts to sugar, and your sugar is going up. And remember, if your sugar goes up, your heart disease risk also is going up. And so, in order for you to have better health outcomes, especially with your cardiovascular health or your heart health, then make sure that you include whole foods, not processed. Not processed. I will leave you to talk a little bit about that too.
Is that why you don't like eating white rice?
Exactly. Because white rice is processed rice. You know, all the fiber has been removed. And especially when you talk about the perfumed rice, it's so white, so clean. There's no fiber in there. And when you eat such foods, all you're dumping in your blood is sugar. You know, granted, it doesn't taste sweet like sugar, but your body converts it straight to sugar. And you're gonna have the pot belly, you're gonna have the, you know, sagging arms, you're gonna have diabetes, God forbid, if you even have a family history, and you're not gonna be full. You eat, that's why some people can eat a bowl of rice. And they're like, yeah, I'm a man, I gotta eat. Hey, you're not a man, you are eating wrong. That's why you have to eat all that. Come on. It's not because you're a man, you are eating the whole thing polished, refined, enriched flour, I should say. And so it comes straight into you, and you don't feel that you're eating anything. That's why you can eat a lot. But if you are eating them in their natural state, not processed, you can't eat a lot, because soon all it takes is just drink a cup of water and it bulges up, and your belly is like, I'm done. And so you don't eat too much. And so whole food is another thing that will help you if you are heart conscious, if you are, you know, looking to have better cardiovascular health. If you want to live with a boosted immune system, then avoid processed foods.
Yeah, so sometimes the polished foods tend to taste better than the whole foods. but it depends on the way that you make it. Some people have blocked their mind on brown rice. Like there is no way that you are cooking brown rice, because studies have shown that the calories in brown rice is the same as the calories in white rice. End of the day, you get the same amount of calories, whether it's a whole food or it's a polished one. But the important thing that we want to drill home is that when it's not polished, when it's whole, your body tend to take it in slowly so that it doesn't dump into your system and spike up your blood pressure. So if you're thinking your blood sugar. So if you're thinking in terms of calories, it's been studied that it comes with the same amount of calories. So if you want to depend on 2,500 calories a day and you have a bowl of rice. So it got to a time I was thinking about, I'm like, what's the point of eating brown rice, which doesn't taste as well, as good, or the quinoa, which doesn't taste good anyway? What's the point if I'm going to get the same amount of calories? But studies have shown that it's healthier to try to do the whole foods than the polished foods. The reason being that you don't get full quickly, you don't get satisfied, because you tend to feed. You're not feeding yourselves, right? You're not feeding.
You're talking about if you are eating the polished
ones. Yeah. You are just filling your belly. You don't really get a lot of nutrients on that. And we've also learned that if it has the fiber, if it's whole, it has the fiber, and the fiber will absorb the bad cholesterol from your system.
I like
so
that point.
You are eating.
I didn't think about that too.
Yeah, you are eating healthy by going for the whole foods instead of the polished foods. So let's try and make it something that we will incorporate in our diet, because if we go just for the taste, we are going to miss out. Because the Mediterranean people are depending more on the whole foods
and the thing is,
polished foods.
Even with the taste, if you really want to take your time to make it right, you will find a way to make it taste good.
Right.
Trust me. It's just that if you did it the same way like you did the polished rice, then of course it won't taste right. So you got to find innovative ways of cooking the whole, a brown rice or whatever whole food differently so that it also tastes good.
Right.
So it is because people haven't invested time in making them taste right. We want to use the same methods we used to, cook polished, perfumed rice to cook, brown rice. It's not going to work. It's a different form. So you have to treat it differently.
Right.
So that it would taste good.
Yeah,
so
you can see that it takes longer to cook the whole form of foods because of the fiber in there. So you are always in a hurry. You want something quick, so you go with a polished one. So you have to find a way to do things differently for the taste to come out right.
Definitely. If you are about health, then yes, especially if your age is getting up there or you have a family history, you can just do anything anyhow just because everybody's doing it. You got to watch out and do it right. And so that is what we will say. So let's give a lot more of the examples of whole foods. We have, I think we mentioned some sweet potatoes. So last time we mentioned it's a good one. Instead of eating rice, polished rice all the time, eat some sweet potatoes, bake it up. Or, these days, even with an air fryer, you can put it in an air fryer and it will bake it up. And it will be good. Right. Bake up some yam. Instead of just, mashing it and eating it as fufu, it is processed. If you're eating your powdered fufu, it's processed. You have already broken it down into its smallest unit. So it's going to dump sugar into your system quicker. But if you bake it or you boil it and you have to chew it, you are processing it in your mouth, but it's not as bad as when a machine has really made it into a powder form. So that's the key here. Processing destroys it. And especially when it's done in a factory, they remove all the nutrients because they want to make it look good and they want to make it last longer on the shelf. And so you lose all the benefits of food. It's basically you are just eating for eating's sake. So sweet potato is one example. What else can you talk about?
Yeah, with a sweet potato, it also have vitamins. I think last time we talked about it. And potassium. And we have the vitamin A, vitamin C, and that will definitely boost your immune system.
Yes.
Make you even healthier.
So any foods that are in their natural state is what we call whole food. It could be an apple, it's a whole food. You haven't cut it into anything. Anything that is in its natural state.
Right.
If it is bread, it is whole grain. If it is whatever it is you can talk about. Even some of the foods we eat that are processed, we can find their whole units
Form.
also. Yeah,
Right.
whole forms, but we don't tend to look for them because you want it already cleaned on the shelf, you want it in the can already, and that is what is killing people.
Right.
If we can look for its source from the farm or right from when it's taken from the ground or from the tree, and we do it at home, that is whole. That's what we mean by whole
Right.
foods.
So we can talk about plantain too, right? Plantain, it just in moderation.
yeah.
Potato, plantain, even the cassava.
Yeah.
Instead of the form, we can eat the
Yes.
sweet cassava.
And bake it up, cook
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
And I mean, for those of us in the US, it would be like potato or yam.
Right.
But instead of making it into fries, where you add more salt and more oil,
Right.
just cook it, bake it, or whatever it is,
Right.
and then eat it. That way, the processing is reduced, and then you get more benefit from it rather than to just eat it anyhow.
And apart from the starches, whole foods, like you said, in their natural state, you can think the leaves, the vegetables, the
spinach,
spinach,
they're all whole
they are
foods.
all whole foods. They are all in their
Apples,
natural state.
oranges, they're all anything in its natural state.
Right.
They're all whole foods.
Yeah. So you can saute something, the vegetables, toss it, put it in a bowl, sprinkle a little bit of olive oil, bake your sweet potato, put on the side, and that's a meal. We don't have to spend the whole time trying to process the foods that we eat. Let's try and eat them in the whole form, and that will give us more benefit in our system.
I like that. Yes. Well, I think we're about to wrap up, and let's see if there's any more. I think there's one more, right?
Yes.
Let's see.
The salt.
The
Low
low
sodium.
salt. Now we are going to the low salt diet. Low salt diet. And I think if you have been watching this, you already know what that is. Especially because we are talking about cardio or heart and vascular issues. Low sodium diet. We cannot stress that enough. If you have a family history of blood pressure or high blood pressure, you have to ensure that your diet is with less salt. Low sodium just means low salt. That's it. So anything that is sold outside your home, hopefully your wife is not serving you your food or your husband is not serving your food at home. So anything else that you buy that is food, ask yourself, how much salt are they adding? How much salt, how much oil is in there? Since we are dealing with low sodium, let's talk about how much salt. If you bought a burger, ask them how much sodium. In fact, you don't even have to ask them. Go online and ask if it is this company's burger, because they are supposed to tell you this. It's actually sometimes on the packaging or on the bags how much sodium is in there. In one burger, you would have exceeded your daily recommended sodium amount that you have to take. You eat one burger and you're already more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So that is why we don't encourage you to eat outside, especially from the fast food joints. When you have a good place as a restaurant to sit and it's well controlled, you may have a good meal.
Right.
But for the fast food joints, your pizzas, your burgers, your whatever it is that you buy, make sure that you are salt conscious, because otherwise you are going to be packed with a lot of sodium. And so again, one way to avoid this is to eat foods that have not been processed. Like this person is going to eat this. What is it? Is this
Squash.
it's not okay. This is squash, and this person is going to, unless they themselves add salt, there's no way
salt.
there's going to be too much sodium in this, even if there's sodium. And so it's better to eat from their natural source. Anything else you want to add to low
So
sodium?
with the low sodium, I think some people have built this taste that whatever they cook, they have to add salt. And even after the wife has done cooking and everything, they will still add more salt to their food. So we are encouraging each and every one of us to be conscious on the amount of sodium that we consume, because studies have shown that if your sodium is high, if your intake of sodium is high, definitely your blood pressure is going to be high, and we know the implication that comes from consuming high sodium or having high blood pressure. So I think we talked about what sodium substitute or salt
Salt substitute.
substitute. So instead of using the salt, you can substitute it with potassium. You can substitute with something else that will give that taste, but it's not sodium that can increase your blood pressure.
So especially if you have hypertension, and you have a tasty tongue for salt, replace your regular sodium salt with a salt substitute, which I think she mentioned as the potassium salts or whatever it is that you can get from your salt substitute, so that you will cut back on the sodium. Now, if you can do away with sodium for a long time, that's even better. But just in case, so like this meal right here has enough potassium in itself. So wherever there's more potassium, there's less sodium.
Sodium.
And that is why we say when you say salt substitute, we are saying that replacing the sodium with potentially good potassium. But there are foods that naturally have high potassium, such as what we are looking at. So if you are heart conscious, if you have a family history, or you have hypertension, or your age is going up and you don't want to get any of those, including this meal, which is what a baked sweet potato, will make sure that you get that one too. All right. Is there anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. I think we're about to wrap up. We're getting a call here. Let's see if there's anything else. All right. So Q&A. If anybody is watching and you have a question, you can punch in your question. Those on TikTok, I cannot read your questions, but definitely, if you have any comment, you can share with us, and we will be able to answer. Even if we don't do it now, we will be able to do it later on when we check our live, so our comment section. So if you have any questions, any comments, make sure that you put it on the live right now so that we can do that. Now, in the interest of time, though, if you don't have any questions, if you have anything to share, you can also share on a live, and we will ask that those who are watching us for the first time, if you have not subscribed, do us the honor and subscribe, because we want to have a community of people that we roll with. So join us on YouTube and Dr. Oteng, DROTENG, one word, and we will roll together. We have tons of videos on there, but our live shows are only on Sunday afternoons. So hopefully we will catch you again next week, if not before. And we thank you for your time, for spending this beautiful day with us. And until we see you again, we say, Beloved, we wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Thanks for watching. God bless.